One of the newest enemies in Elden Ring DLC that may have caught everyone by surprise is the man-flies. These strange enemies have surprisingly large bit of lore attached to them. You can find these enemies in Ballarat, Alien Village, Village of the Man-Flies, Ancient Rao Ruins, and Ravine right off the Alien Village. You may discover the flies within the Alien Village for the first time, meeting a phantom before you enter the village, telling us, "Oh, it hurts, from very tip to toe. Help me. Am I still human? Is that the reason I yet suffer so?" This Hornset was going through his metamorphosis, the excruciating pain of his transformation yet to happen. When you explore the village, you do find a Revenant Ash and Talisman, both located in the back of the village, but will also find nothing but dead Hornset. We may have asked ourselves, who killed them? Most likely, it was the sickness itself, which brings up one of the earliest talismans you can get in the DLC. It's the Elden Talisman, and it states, "When the weak were infected with the dreaded fly sickness, they perished well before the metamorphosis could take hold. Oddly, those who cared for the infected and made certain they were given a proper burial were never afflicted themselves." The talisman itself depicts a Hornset going through its metamorphosis. Another thing that can be located itself is where you pick up the talisman. It's right off the edge, towards the ravine, leading to a dumping ground of deceased Hornset, but also can be found a mass number of man-flies still living down there in the ravine, picking off scraps, playing dead, to attract potential prey. One of the next locations you can find man-flies in Ballarat. The city has amazing architecture of spirals, inspiration from the crucible itself. One of the locations you find the Mies Nicholas Third Cross. You may have asked yourself, how did they even get here to begin with? Thinking that the alien village was completely quarantined, and most likely everyone had died. But that was probably not the case. And I do have two theories. How it happened and perhaps how it spread. The first is the people who were healing the treated and treating the infected had returned home to Ballarat, were carriers themselves, spreading the sickness further, as we see cocoons and infected in some type of community pantry with food and storage, which most likely caused them to spread further. It sounds like this is the most plausible scenario. Another one is that the crucible itself created the man-flies. Just hear me out. I'll get there in a second. just hear me out where I'm going with this. There's two more places to visit, which is the Village of the Man-Flies. This location is definitely more secluded and isolated towards the Legacy Dungeon, near Darklight Catacombs. The village itself is where it's so isolated that this is most likely where they're being treated, the Hornset. And this is where you can pick up the summoning man-fly ashes, and that states, afflicted Hornset eventually metamorphoses into fly-like form. It was believed that the moment of their transformation took place, they were relieved from their suffering. To me, I don't believe that. In some instances, you do find the man-flies crying or praying, which to me seems like they're still suffering in their new form. I believe this location definitely most likely is where they were treated, just to at least keep them away from prying eyes and try to hold off the infection itself. We also, in this location, we can also find a sorcerer or a doctor or a type of person who uses healing, trying to help them and fix them even after his death, trying to help them but his efforts are in vain. One of the most interesting facts, not sure if it would be related in any way, but it does, when he does buff them, and he also shoots a swarm of flies at you, the incantation found in Mog's arena. What is this connection? Could they have infected the Hornsent originally? We may not know for sure, but I do believe this, that the Hornsent were chosen by the crucible. For what reason? Probably because their bodies were just as capable as the Newman, America's people. Instead of melding together, two people becoming one, the Hornsent were capable of evolving their humanity. This next talisman you find in ancient Ra ruins. The fine crucible feather talisman states, a talisman fashioned from thin feathers that embody the aspects of various creatures said to have grown on the human body long ago. The Hornsent view the crucible as sacred for the refinement wrought through it, evolutionary gifts, most prominently their tangled horns. The talisman to me doesn't really look like a feather. It looks more like wings from the manflies themselves. This crucible gifted the Hornsent of their horns, of course, but probably its next plans for it to evolve further into something abominable. It's not far-fetched that the crucible had granted tails, wings, horns, fangs, even with the new crucible knight, a centaur body and flower ability. It's not that far off to believe that the Hornsent were going to change even further. Perhaps this wasn't even a sickness, but a divine blessing from the very thing that they worshipped. That's why those healers didn't get infected. They were not Hornsent. Unbeknownst to them, they were battling a disease brought about the crucible itself. Undoubtedly one of the most interesting bits of lore in the DLC. Why did the crucible do this to the people that worshipped it? Did it punish them for the atrocities that they committed against America's people? We really don't know for sure, but that just raises further questions. But I hope you enjoyed this bit of lore. I thought it was really interesting because I didn't really see anybody else talk about the manflies, and I thought I did a little bit of deep lore and some research on it and see what I could come up with, and this is what I found, and I thought that was really interesting, and I wanted to share that with y'all. If y'all really like it, y'all can give this video a like, comment, subscribe, continue support, and I can keep pumping out these videos. I do have 2 in mind for the next videos, which is it's between Midra and America. I'm kind of trying to go see what I can do with these 2, and I hope you catch it in the next one. We'll see you. One of the newest enemies in Elden